Hi, and welcome to GradeGov News. Today we're going to talk about how the president seems to be redefining America by changing the definition of words. That's right, he is taking different words that seem to be primary in various laws and actually redefining them so that the current law, has a different meaning. It's almost like the president's lost his dictionary. Here's a good example. Take the 1961 Wire Act. This is where it made it illegal back in 1961 to bet over phone lines. You can imagine that it has been illegal for a long time for you to, for example, call your bookie and place a bet. Well, last Christmas, the Justice Department redefined some of the words in the Wire Act. Once they did that, basically the 1961 law was no longer applicable. Now it is legal for you to gamble on the internet because the Wire Act basically doesn't exist for a lot of the definitions. There's another law back in 1966. This has to do with the family farm. The Department of Labor, I guess they lost their dictionary too because they changed the definition of the family farm when it comes to parental exemptions. Back in the day, 1966, the law said that parents were going to have the supervision of kids working in the family farm if they were especially 16 and under. But redefining the parental exemption in the family farm basically made it against the law for children under the age of 16 to work on a family farm. Well, actually, the farming community got so up in arms about the Department of Labor redefining some of those words that they backed off of that. But then you had this spring, I think you'll remember, the Department of Health and Human Services changed the definition of religious employer. So if your Catholic church, for example, had a food bank, or maybe your Methodist church ran a homeless shelter, they were no longer considered religious employers, and therefore they have to offer health policies, health plans that will insist that the employees get free contraception, for example, or free abortion pill the morning after pill. That's just by changing the definition of religious employer. And then a couple of weeks ago, this one gets pretty personal for me. Again, it's the Department of Health and Human Services. They changed the definition of work. Yep, they changed the definition of work. This comes from the 1996 Welfare Reform Bill. This is when I was elected and had the wonderful opportunity of working as the United States Senate Secretary for the majority and working with Senator Dole and then, of course, Senator Lott when they both crafted and got into law the welfare bill. And the Welfare Reform Bill's basic tenet, the basic concept behind the bill was defining the word work so that folks getting welfare recipient checks, they had to find work. They had to be continually looking for work. Well, the Obama administration has now redefined that definition, just completely changed the definition so that, did you know sleeping is now a form of work? Yeah, I think stopping smoking cessation classes, that's a form of work. Anyway, the bottom line is the redefinition of the word work has completely gutted the 1996 Welfare Reform Bill. You know, there are so many laws on the books that it is obviously phenomenal to try to figure out how many there are. But if the Obama administration, or for that matter, any administration, wants to take on the task of changing the definition of words over and over again, you can imagine how they can become actually legislators without our members of Congress. Bureaucrats changing the definition of words in all of the laws that we have on the books. Boy, that could be pretty disastrous, could it not? So when you go to the polls in November, think about maybe asking the 113th Congress, that's the Congress that will go to work January of 2013, ask them, maybe they need to be their rebirth Congress. Maybe they need to spend 50% of their time, consider that, 50% of their time, maybe recalling some of these laws so that other bureaucrats can't get in the mischief and change laws like the Obama administration seems to be doing. So that's it for today. I will talk to you real soon, so stay tuned and thanks for listening.